Hello, welcome. I'm Shaq, and today we're going to go on a little chaotic ride around to look at some things. So if clutter and mess bother you, probably skip this video because we're likely to see a lot. First, I'm going to take you to show you things in the high rise, and then we're going to take a trip upstairs, and then we're going to come back and look at the clay mess on my desk, I guess. So let's take off. Here I have the beginnings of the vest. So here's a finished vest for Essie. And this is the shape and style that we're going for here. Although I don't think I'm going to do the buttonhole because it's just so much easier to do snaps. But we're going to do one, here's the pattern, one out of the stripe and one out of this pattern with the snowflakes that matches his pants, his new pants. This is a felting project that didn't work. I tried throwing it in the wash to get it to felt, and it didn't felt at all. It didn't change at all. So I didn't have the settings right for felting. If it had been a pair of socks, it would have felted. It's just the way it goes for me. And I might do some more pennants. I have only gotten 2 of them sewn up so far. So let's go to the high rise now. Okay, you can see on the different floors the chaos that's going on. I still don't have Halloween put away. We even have the dog's activity thing down here in the corner. And just put things wherever you can. Anyway, we're gonna go up here and see Essie's new outfit. If you saw my post, you saw it, you've seen it already. You can see there's a few bats on the sleeves, but for the most part, it just looks green with touches of blue and red. But there is, back here on the back, we've got some stars, which I love, and a tiny little dragon face. That's all the dragon his shirt got. But we did have, there are stars and bats on the sleeves. And in various places you can see the bats, but it doesn't keep it from being very Christmassy when you put it with the plaid pants. And, of course, his red hat. His other outfit is the red stripes. Oops, he fell down. He didn't like this. There we go. And these are the pants. So we'll get vests made eventually. I've got to get those, what do you call it, pennants. Ah, lost our hat. Pennants done first. And I think I've got 2 of, how many have I got cut out? 7, I think. And I got 2 sewn up. So I've got a little ways to go. Let's go upstairs and check in on the cardboard. This used to be my bedroom, but I was having some health issues that only would happen when I was in the room. So I decided that I needed to leave the room. So there's the cardboard. It's sitting on top of what used to be Radar's playpen. And I don't know, I think it looks like it's fairly level, but it did cup up off the floor, so I wasn't able to put weights on it up here because there just wasn't, I couldn't keep it in one spot. So it was on the floor, and I think what happened is that it cupped up on the ends. And I'm still seeing a little bit of a curve. So I flipped it over. When I set it up here, I knew it wasn't going to have support in the center. I knew that obviously it's open here. It wasn't going to get support here in the center. Flipped it over in the hopes that it would kind of take that curve out. So I guess what I would say about this is that you either need to keep it with weights on it for a week, or you need to flip it. And I don't know that, maybe you need to do both. Flip it and put weights on it. Because it does seem to do, like so many other things, that as they dry, they curl. And so we've got a little bit of a curl going on. As I sit here and push on it, it flexes. I don't know if you can see that. So I don't know if it's ideal as a countertop. I think I'm going to wait until I've got it in the dollhouse and see how it reacts there. It's not like I have time to build a countertop right now anyway. I've got to get the Yule Christmas stuff done. So let's go back downstairs. The desk looks pretty much like it did last week, totally covered in the process of clay stuff. I have managed to get some things done. What I have going on over here is that's a slow, the plastic is to get this to dry slowly so that nothing pops apart. So I have one gnome luminary. These have holes, all of these trees have holes, so you can stick a battery operated tea light underneath the big ones. And the little ones, I was thinking string lights, the really tiny LED string lights. You might be able to stick a couple of the lights up in there if you had several of them. You might stick the whole string if you had a short string, put it up in there. Anyway, that's what I was thinking when I designed and made these. We've got different carved in snowflakes. You know, I realize that I have no idea if you can see anything I'm picking up because of where the camera is, but these are ready to, I think, be moved into the other room. I think the little trees anyway are definitely ready to be moved into the other room. I'm checking for moisture. I'm checking to see if they're to the stage where I feel like they aren't going to pop if they start drying without plastic over the top of them. We've been really careful with that lately because with that slab building, it's more likely to have spots that pop apart than the wheel thrown stuff. And so we're figuring out how slow to let things dry. And this is the, over here on this side that I don't know if you can see, is the trees I need to put together, and there's some other stuff in there. So let me see what I've got. Okay, I took the trees I'd already done back into the other room. I've actually done a couple of trees. So I cut these out a couple of days ago, maybe 3 or 4, I'm not sure. So I put it under plastic so that it doesn't dry out. Another method is to put it in a like a Tupperware, or they call it a damp box. Something that keeps the moisture levels high. So I'm trying to give the clay a memory of the circular position I want it to end up in. I've had clay spring back. Yarn bowls have been a good example of the clay springing back on me. And in fact, that's what Joey brought home for me to do for the weekend, and I have made a mess of several of them, and I've still got to go back and finish those too. I got this really cool angle cutting tool. Arthur and Joey picked it up when they picked up clay the last time, so that I don't have to try and do this with a knife. The knife, it just takes longer, and you know, when you're trying to do production, you don't want longer. You do want to take away material with the breadware, because you want to keep the thicknesses where you join it the same as the rest of the tree, you know, so that it dries evenly. And while it's flat, I want to stamp it. So I put the Cottage in here, and someday I will have a stamp for my initials, which is my maker's mark. And yeah, SC. Then I put, where's my form? I have dropped my form. So I have a cardstock form covered in packing tape that I cover in plastic just to make it easier to remove. Then I form this around it. and take my scritchy tool and rough up the edges. So if you wanted to make a tree, Christmas tree, out of air dry clay or polymer clay, it would actually be easier. It wouldn't require the scritching. It doesn't require as much keeping it even. Like, I think air dry, yeah, it dries better if it's even, you know, like the same thickness, but it's not as crucial. I don't think it pops apart or anything as it's drying. I've never had it do that. So if you've had your air dry clay pop apart because you had it a little uneven, let me know. I've never experienced that. But this has to have the seams pretty evenly done, and you got to convince the clay that it's part of, that it's all one piece. And yeah, that, because it has a memory of being flat, like when you rolled it out flat, which is why I curl it up to let it sit for a while in a curled position. Then I do a lot of petting to get it to remember being curved. And then what I have been doing, which I think is really helping with the blend here and getting it a more even join, is I have been using the scritch tool to pull the clay together and then smoothing it out. All things that don't have to be done with polymers or with air dry. So you would just take, I think the proportions on the cone shape is take a circle and cut that circle in thirds. So I don't have a good example. I don't have my patterns here to show you what it looked like. But it's a third of a circle. So then that makes a nice narrow cone tree. So once I've got this on the outside blended the way that I want it, I take the form out and reverse the procedure to smooth out the join on the inside. So we have to get there. I have to get the form out, then the plastic will come out. And I don't know if you can see the seam in there, but that has to then be smoothed out on the inside. And sometimes I will take my smaller scritchy tool that I use for on the gnomes, making the little bitty gnomes for joining the pieces, and I will use that because I can get down in there with that. Last night we watched the PBS production. I guess it's Shakespeare in the Park in Central Park, New York City, with Peter Dinklage and a lot of other names that I can't bring forward. That was really good. I don't know, right now it's free on PBS. I don't know how long it's going to stay free. Okay, now I'm using it to take away material because there's a bump there. The bottom of my join had a bump. And I have, this is just water, just plain water and a sponge. And try and smooth out the bottom edge a little. And I gotta say, I probably should have drawn circles and cut them in thirds. I guesstimated a circle, you know, a third of a circle, and it was a little uneven, and so my tree's lean. But you know, I live in the forest and the tree's lean, so it wasn't that upset by it. I kind of actually like it. So there is the finished tree. Eventually I'm going to get to the gingerbread houses that are underneath these trees. But probably not on camera. You'll have to watch the Mudwood Cottage Instagram page. I might post it on the Facebook Fairy Rags page, because I think the gingerbread houses are like I did the containers. I posted those over there. They're fun, and anything miniature houses I think just is totally appropriate for Fairy Rags. But Arthur will be taking most of this to market. I don't know if he'll get around to listing it on the website. He's already got the 3 containers that I made. He's already taken those to market. And he has the frogs are already at market. So if you're looking for the frogs and you happen to be in our area, and you can go to the market. If it's something that you're interested in, contact us through the website, and if you want that information, comment down below, and I'll get you that information if you can't find it in the drop down box, because it is there. It's in the drop down box. Yeah, go and send us a message, and we'll see what we can do to accommodate whatever, and let you know what I think the little frogs are $15 a piece, and I don't know what he's priced the other stuff is. Arthur's in charge of pricing. And the little trees that I made before, Joey just took in, so she'll be glazing those today, and they'll go into the kiln. I don't know if they'll go in today or tomorrow, or if they've got some other plan. It all depends on how much stuff has to go into the kiln. If you want more information, just ask on like how we fire these. I can give you some. I don't have a whole lot of information on it. These will be able to be put outside if you wanted to put them outside. They're gonna have holes, obviously, but that does not make it to where you can't just put it outside. Say you wanted to put the bigger trees on your porch, or maybe you have a railing outside that you want to put these on. I really don't know. But they inside and outside, these will work both. Yeah, I think that's everything on that. I hope that you have a delightful day and a wonderful week, and I'll see you next week, I hope. Bye-bye. Oops.